Rishi Sunak's leadership campaign team are getting so desperate that they are now using taxpayers' resources to further their own agenda. And in this video, we're going to tell you the main problem with that. Okay, it's day 543 of the leadership election of the Tory party. It's still going on. But one of the issues that we've had is this disconnect between the Conservative Party membership and the Parliamentary Party, as well as the disconnect between the general public and Westminster bubble. Now, one issue is there's some people who are angry that they don't have a say, that they can't vote for Tory leadership because they still think that we have a presidential system, that we have to elect Prime Minister. That's a whole different issue. But in defense of them, I'm going to talk about this problem. Mel Stride, who runs Rishi Sunak's campaign team, is one of the main figures of the campaigners, is an MP in Parliament, and he's part of this campaign. He also has another role. He's got another hat, which is the chairman of the Treasury Select Committee in the House of Commons. This is a very important job, and Mel Stride, who obviously he's got his own leanings, decided to use his select committee, the Treasury Select Committee, which is taxpayer funded and linked to the Houses of Parliament. It's a public body, it's a public select committee, to make it political, to use it to attack Liz Truss's campaign and to promote Rishi Sunak. It's a bit of a taboo. Now, this Mel Stride decided to, the committee decided to write to the current Chancellor, saying the Treasury Committee writes to Chancellor and the Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, on the potential emergency budget. Now, this a potential emergency budget is what Liz Truss has announced that she might be doing if she becomes the Conservative leader and Prime Minister. Essentially, she said that we have to sort things out and the current status quo is not really working, and we need to have an emergency budget to allocate the right resources to the right places, funding-wise, to help people who are suffering, as well as reforming the system. That's what Liz Truss wants to do. Now, they decided to write this letter to the Chancellor as well as OBR. Obviously, part of the letter is the whole point of it is to warn them against this idea that Liz Truss has. At the end of the letter, it says, whether such an event is actually called a budget or not is immaterial. The reassurance of independent forecasting is vital in these economically turbulent times. To bring in significant tax cuts without a forecast would be ill-advised. It is effectively flying blind. It's a bit of a politically biased letter. We know exactly what they were trying to do. They were targeting Liz Truss's campaign. Now, whether you agree with Liz Truss's plan to cut taxes and obviously help with the resources for a lot of people who are suffering, whether you agree with that or not, that's just policy differences. This is a bit of a taboo. We don't do that here. We do not use political bodies and tax-funded bodies to get them involved with political games, with political election campaigns and things like this. Now, it got so bad that even Liz Truss's campaign came out to hit back, to say it's a shame that Rishi's campaign chief is using taxpayer resources to launch a political attack on a fellow Conservative. Liz wants to cut taxes as soon as she can, something Rishi has no experience of. Now, of course, I know I've got my biases, but that is quite funny. That was a good line. That Rishi Sunak has no experience or knowledge of knowing how to do tax cuts because he's never done tax cuts. Even George Osborne did tax cuts, and that was during the recession times. If George Osborne can do tax cuts, anyone can. It's a sad thing to say, but it is the truth. It is funny what's going on here with this leadership election. And the reason I said the biggest problem with this, as I said at the beginning of the video, is that especially with the people who, the disconnect between the public and politics, the political class, is those who already feel frustrated that they don't have a say in this election on a constitutional level. That's just a system. But if you are using taxpayer-funded resources and then tell the public, basically you're taking people's money, people who don't have a say in this election, and are using it to further your own election campaign, that is a problem. Because you, on the one hand, you say people can't have a say. You're not a member of the Conservative Party. But then you also say, oh, can I take some of your money so I could play politics with it? No, you don't do that. The money that we give you in Parliament is to do non-partisan stuff. We give it to you so you could actually, especially when it comes to select committees, to do your job on a cross-party basis. Your job is supposed to hold the government to account. That's all it is. And you can't use the current government to attack the same government. It's a bit weird. So that's the situation that we now have. Now we're going to come back. We're going to tell you what's going on with the chaotic party that is called Labour, as well as the climate militants. It's going to be absolutely hilarious in the next video. In half an hour, subscribe to the channel. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.